Have you ever looked at someone in their 70s or 90s and wondered how they managed to stay sharp, strong, and full of life, like aging never managed to slow them down? Maybe you've even asked yourself, what's their secret? Because let's be honest, we all hope we'll grow old with dignity, not dependence. The truth is, aging doesn't have to mean decline. It doesn't have to mean giving up your independence, your peace of mind, or the simple joys that make life worth living. But that kind of life doesn't just happen by accident. It takes daily effort, intentional choices, and a mindset that refuses to settle. In this video, we're going to talk about what it really takes to live a happy, healthy, independent life as you age, not just in theory, but in practice. We'll look at the simple habits, mental shifts, and lifestyle decisions that allow you to remain self-sufficient and fulfilled well into your golden years. Because here's the hard truth. Too many people spend their later years just surviving, waiting for the next doctor's visit, avoiding stares, relying on others to do what they once could themselves. But then there are the rare few, the ones still taking care of themselves, still moving through life with confidence and clarity, still choosing joy over resignation. If you're one of them, or you want to be one of them, you're in the right place. You see, the real markers of successful aging aren't flashy. They're not about big houses or bucket list vacations. They're about waking up and being able to cook your own breakfast, clean your own home, remember what day it is, and live your life without being a burden on the people you love most. That's freedom. That's peace of mind. And that is priceless. But here's what most people won't say out loud. Aging well is hard work. It takes effort to move your body every day when it's stiff and sore. It takes humility to keep learning new things in a world that's changing fast. And it takes real emotional strength to stay positive when friends pass away, when routines change, when health issues pop up. But if you can still do the 8 things we'll talk about in this video, or even just a few, you're not just getting older. You're aging exceptionally. So I want you to ask yourself, when you think about the years ahead, do you see freedom or fear? Do you imagine yourself strong and steady, or slowly fading into the background of your own life? Because how you age is not about fate. It's about choice. It's about what you feed your body, how you protect your mind, and how you carry your spirit. There's no magic formula, but there is a roadmap, and it starts right here. If you're still with me, this next part is where it gets real. Because what I'm about to say might challenge you, but it could also change your life. If you're living your later years with purpose, presence, and personal responsibility, you are not only rare, you're a role model. You're showing the next generation that aging isn't something to fear, it's something to master. And if you're watching this and realizing you're not quite there yet, that's okay too. You can start today. You can turn things around. You can take back your health, your confidence, and your independence. And if this message is resonating with you, if it's lighting something up inside you, if it feels personal, then don't just watch quietly. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, and tell me where you are in your journey. Are you living strong? Are you trying to get back on track? Are you still figuring it out? Let me know. Because this isn't just about watching a video. It's about building a community of people who refuse to fade quietly. People who still have fire in their chest and purpose in their days. So if you're ready to step into the strongest, clearest, most fulfilled version of your later years, let's get into it together. Physical health and independence. There's a kind of quiet pride that comes with waking up in your own home, moving through your day without needing help from anyone. Cooking your meals, sweeping the floor, getting dressed, running errands, it's not glamorous, but it's freedom. It's peace of mind. And when you're in your 70s or 90s and still able to do those basic things on your own, that's not something to take for granted. That's something to celebrate. Because physical health in your later years isn't about being able to run a marathon. It's about staying capable. Staying you. Think about it. What's more fulfilling than being able to care for yourself? What brings more dignity than knowing you're not a burden to your children or spouse? You don't have to ask anyone to carry your groceries or cook you dinner. You can still live life on your terms. And that doesn't come from fancy diets or expensive wellness retreats. It comes from daily effort, from choosing movement over stillness, from deciding that your health matters enough to protect it. That's what real strength looks like at this stage of life. And if you're already doing that, if you're still walking, stretching, tidying up your space, maybe even helping your kids with things, then you are way ahead of the curve. Most people your age aren't there anymore. A lot of them gave up too early. They stopped trying, stopped moving, and their bodies followed. But you're still in the game. Let's be honest, growing old takes a toll. The body stiffens, muscles shrink, energy dips. But it's not just about biology, it's about behavior. Most of what we chalk up to aging is actually just inactivity. When you stop using your legs, they forget how to work. When you stop walking, your balance fades. That's how independence gets lost, gradually, and then all at once. That's why consistency is more important than intensity. You don't have to lift weights for an hour a day or join a gym. But you do need to move. Every single day. A 20-minute walk around the block. Gentle stretches in the morning. Carrying your own shopping bags, even if it takes longer. These aren't just habits, they're your lifeline. And yes, there will be days when your joints ache, when your back feels tight, when your energy is low. But movement is medicine. The more you move, the more you can move. That's the beautiful paradox of aging well. Effort creates ability. Doing keeps you doing. And just as important as movement is mindset. Because your body takes its cues from your attitude. If you wake up defeated, thinking, I'm too old for this, your body listens. But if you wake up and say, I'm going to take care of myself today, your body will rise to meet you. That's why optimism matters. Not fake positivity, but a real belief that your health is worth fighting for. That you still have chapters left to write. A healthy body begins with a willing spirit. And a willing spirit is what gets you out of bed and into action. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent. Let's also talk about rest, because that's part of the equation too. Rest is not laziness. It's how your body repairs itself. Quality sleep, moments of stillness, deep breaths after a walk, these are just as important as movement. But too many older adults rest too much. They sit all day, every day. And when the body sits too long, it begins to shut down. So build rest into your movement, not instead of it. Earn your rest by using your body. That's how you maintain strength. That's how you stay in control. Here's the truth. Your body is your responsibility. No one else can take care of it for you, not your kids, not your doctor. And the longer you maintain it, the longer it will serve you. When you prioritize your health, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're giving a gift to your family. You're giving them peace of mind. You're giving them freedom from worry, guilt, and obligation. That's love in its highest form. Staying strong so the people who love you can just enjoy you, not care for you. That's the goal. And if you're doing that right now, take a second to feel proud. Because you're not just aging, you're aging well. You're setting an example. You're showing everyone around you what it really looks like to grow old with strength, grace, and grit. And if you're still watching and this message hits home, don't just sit quietly, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's one thing you're doing today to take care of your health? Let's keep this conversation going. Because staying strong is a daily decision, and you don't have to do it alone. 2. Positive mindset and mood. There's something powerful about waking up each day and choosing happiness, not because life is perfect, but because you've learned what truly matters. As we get older, life strips away the noise. The pressure to prove yourself fades. You're no longer running to keep up, you're walking at your own pace. And in that slowing down, something profound can happen. You begin to see the value of peace. You begin to understand the weight your emotions carry. A good mood doesn't just make the day feel lighter. It protects your heart, your mind, your relationships, and even your body. Science has proven it. Stress and anger physically damage the body over time, while calm and joy promote healing and longevity. So if you've reached a point in life where you can keep your spirits up, where you choose not to dwell on what went wrong or who let you down, that's not weakness. That's strength. That's emotional mastery. And if you're already living this way, if you've learned to let go of grudges, to take things in stride, to laugh at the small stuff, you are far ahead of most. Because here's the truth. Aging is emotional. We talk a lot about physical decline, but not enough about the emotional weight that comes with it. Losing people, feeling forgotten, watching your body change. That takes a toll. And if you don't learn how to navigate those feelings, they will eat away at you from the inside out. That's why mindset matters more now than ever. It's the filter through which you see everything else. Without a positive mindset, even the best day feels like a struggle. With the right mindset, even the hard days become manageable. It's not about pretending everything is okay. It's about believing that you have the tools to handle it, whatever it is. And that belief gives you peace. It helps you sleep better. It makes food taste better. It draws people to you. Nobody wants to be around someone bitter or negative. But when you bring warmth into the room, when you smile and mean it, people notice. Your children appreciate it. Your grandchildren feel safe around you. Positivity isn't just an inner state. It's a gift you give to everyone you love. That's why protecting your mood is part of protecting your health. Think of it like this. Your mind is your command center. If it's cluttered with fear, resentment, or hopelessness, your body follows suit. But if your mind is steady, if it's grounded in gratitude and purpose, your body has a chance to thrive. So how do you cultivate that mindset? It's not complicated. You stay present. You stop comparing your life to others. You start focusing on what's in front of you, what's still possible, what still brings joy. It might be something as simple as watering your plants, playing with your grandchild, making your morning coffee, or watching the sun set from your front porch. These little moments, when strung together with attention and gratitude, become a deeply fulfilling life. And let's not forget laughter. Don't underestimate the power of a good laugh. It lightens your chest. It resets your nervous system. It reminds you that joy doesn't end with age. It just changes form. Maybe you're not dancing in clubs anymore, but you can still dance in your kitchen. Maybe you're not chasing goals, but you're still making memories. You're still here, and that's worth celebrating every single day. Many seniors today are rediscovering how to be happy in the simplest ways. They're hiking, walking in the park, practicing calligraphy, reading books they never had time for when they were younger. They're tending gardens, chatting with neighbors, listening to old songs. And what these activities have in common is not just that they fill time, they fill the soul. They keep the mood light. They keep the mind busy with beauty, not worry. And when your mood is in a good place, everything else becomes easier. You sleep better. You move more. You communicate with patience. You make decisions with clarity. A happy heart doesn't just feel good, it functions better. And that's the truth. Mental health is physical health. Your emotions are not separate from your body. They are connected tightly. So if you've made it this far in life and still know how to stay calm, how to forgive, how to laugh when it's easier to cry, you are winning. And listen, if you're watching this and thinking, that's me, or maybe even, that's what I want to become, then I hope you take this message seriously. Protect your peace. Don't let the past steal your present. And don't let the world tell you your best days are behind you. They're not. Your spirit is still needed. Your wisdom is still valuable. And the energy you bring to your home, whether it's calm, joyful, patient, or grateful, matters. A joyful outlook is a habit, not a coincidence. So treat it like your most precious asset. Nourish it. Guard it. Let it grow. Now, with a strong body and a strong mind, what comes next is just as crucial: your relationships. Because no matter how independent we become, connection is what makes life feel full. So let's move into section 3, where we explore how emotional intelligence, empathy, and open communication can preserve the bonds that matter most. 3. Mental sharpness and awareness. There's a kind of strength that doesn't come from muscle or stamina, but from a clear, alert, and steady mind. And as we age, this kind of strength becomes more valuable than ever. Mental sharpness is what allows you to protect yourself, make your own decisions, and live with dignity. It's your internal compass, guiding you through a world that doesn't always slow down just because you have. You might think, I've lived through decades, I've seen it all. But here's the hard truth. No matter how much wisdom you've gained, the world changes. Fast, and not always for the better. That's why staying mentally aware, truly awake to your surroundings, isn't optional. It's survival. We see it all the time. Older adults falling victim to scams, being pressured into unnecessary health products, or tricked into signing up for financial services that bleed away their savings. These aren't isolated stories. They happen quietly, every day, and they don't discriminate. Even the most intelligent people can be caught off guard when they're tired, lonely, or simply trying to trust someone who seems kind. What's most alarming is how subtle the manipulation can be. A free health check, a friendly lecture at a senior center, or a small gift offered with a smile. These are often the bait. Once they have your trust, they dig deeper, asking about your health, income, or family situation. And before you know it, you're being sold overpriced supplements or roped into investment schemes that promise the world and deliver nothing but regret. This is where your awareness becomes your armor. It's not about becoming cynical or distrusting everyone. It's about being deliberate, being wise. If someone is offering you something for free but asking too many personal questions, pause. If a consultation or gathering isn't held in a formal, reputable place, ask why. You've earned the right to question things. Use that right. And don't be afraid to say no. You don't owe anyone your time, your trust, or your information. Scammers know how to play on your politeness, your kindness, and even your desire for companionship. That's why protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's essential. If you're still clear-headed, thoughtful, and capable of handling your own decisions, you are in rare company. Many lose this edge far earlier in life. And if you're not just mentally present, but actively sharp, reading, learning, questioning, staying informed, you're doing what many don't, investing in your mind. That's what keeps your independence intact. Mental clarity doesn't happen by chance. It's something you protect and strengthen. Stay engaged. Do the crosswords. Learn to navigate your phone, even if it takes a few tries. Ask your grandkids about the apps they use. Read the news from multiple sources. Have conversations that stretch your thinking, not just pass the time. Small efforts like these keep the gears turning and your instincts alive. And don't ignore the emotional side of awareness. Loneliness and stress can dull the sharpest minds. Surround yourself with positive people, have meaningful conversations, and express yourself, whether it's through writing, music, prayer, or simply telling your story to someone who listens. Your voice matters. Use it often. When you stay sharp, you're not just avoiding danger. You're staying connected to the world, to your family, and most importantly, to yourself. That's what mental independence looks like. The freedom to live life on your own terms, without fear or confusion clouding your judgment. But let's take that even further. Because mental clarity alone isn't enough. You also need freedom in the practical sense. Freedom to pay your own bills, manage your own home, and make financial decisions without leaning on your children or worrying about being a burden. That brings us to one of the most important pillars of a truly independent financial independence. Let's talk about what that looks like and why it matters more than ever. Financial independence. There's a kind of freedom that goes beyond the ability to earn. It's the freedom of not having to rely on anyone. As you age, this influence becomes one of the most powerful forms of freedom you can take. It's not just about money or gold. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can take care of yourself. Think about it. How much easier would life feel if you didn't have to look at your children's faces every time you need us? If you never had to wonder what the rest of the life is going to budget, patience, or your relationship. The truth is, financial independence protects more than just your wallet. It protects your pride, your peace of mind, and your ability to maintain healthy boundaries in your family. Many seniors today still feel embarrassed about their finances. Some downplay how tight things really are. Others ask for help, not because they want to, but because they have no choice. Over time, this dynamic wears people down. Children begin to feel burdened. Parents begin to feel like a weight. And love, while still present, starts to get tangled in guilt and quiet resentment. But it doesn't have to be this way. If you're in your 70s or 90s and you have a pension, savings, or a paid-off home, you are already ahead of the curve. You've bought yourself the ability to breathe, to make decisions based on what's right for you, not what's affordable for someone else. And if you don't have all that yet, start where you are. It's never too late to learn how to manage your money, adjust your spending, or build a cushion that can support your sense of freedom. You might think, at my age, what's the point of saving? I don't need much. But that's not the point. The point is having enough so that you never feel like your presence comes with a price. Having just enough money to cover your basics, to treat yourself now and then, or to give a small gift to your grandchild without blinking, that's power. That's peace. And owning your home? That's a game changer. Not just for comfort, but for independence. You don't have to live under someone else's roof. You don't have to shrink yourself to fit someone else's schedule, mood, or expectations. That space is yours, and with it, the right to live your life the way you want. Of course, not everyone has that luxury. But the principle holds. Whatever financial ground you stand on, take control of it. Manage your resources wisely. Plan for unexpected medical bills. Budget for joy, yes, joy. Life is too short not to enjoy it, and too long to live with the constant weight of financial worry. Financial independence isn't just about survival. It's about self-respect. It allows you to preserve the balance in your relationships. Your children can focus on their own challenges without silently carrying yours. You can focus on living, not just getting by. And when your independence is intact, your presence becomes something your family cherishes, not something they have to work around. Still, even the most stable finances can't shield us from one of the most delicate challenges in aging: how we communicate with the people we love. Because sometimes, the strain between generations isn't about money, it's about words left unsaid, emotions misunderstood, or old habits that no longer serve us. That's why in the next section, we'll explore how to maintain honest, open, and conflict-free communication with your children and grandchildren. Because emotional independence matters just as much as financial freedom, and often, they're more connected than we realize. 5. Healthy communication with family. At some point, every aging parent faces a sobering question. How do I stay close to my children without becoming distant or difficult to be around? It's not just about being heard. It's about being understood. And the truth is, that becomes harder as the years pass, not because love fades, but because communication styles shift, priorities change, and the generational gap quietly widens. Too often, older adults are dismissed in conversations, not because they don't matter, but because the way they express themselves doesn't always resonate with younger family members. The elderly may repeat old stories, speak of the past too often, or insist on outdated views. To younger ears, it can sound like nagging, clinging, or worse, irrelevance. But here's the thing. Staying connected to your family isn't about forcing your way into their world. It's about meeting them where they are. Healthy communication requires two things: adaptability and empathy. You can't expect your children or grandchildren to respond warmly if every conversation begins with complaints or criticism. Instead of focusing on what's been lost, focus on what you can still give: emotional strength, presence, and wisdom. A gentle word of encouragement, a calm response during a stressful time, or simply being a good listener. These small moments build trust and connection. And that trust creates space for deeper, more meaningful relationships. You don't need to be the center of every conversation, but you do need to be present in a way that brings value. So ask yourself, are your words helping or hurting? When your children talk to you, do you offer support? Or do you reroute the conversation to old grievances or outdated values? Emotional support isn't about solving problems. It's about showing you care in a way that feels safe and uplifting. Sometimes, all someone needs is for you to listen without judgment or advice. When you do that, you become more than a parent or grandparent. You become a pillar, a safe place, someone they want to talk to, not someone they have to check in on. And the more you're able to do that, the more emotionally independent you become, because instead of needing constant validation or attention, you find fulfillment in offering strength and kindness. That doesn't mean you can't share your stories, your pain, or your opinions. It just means learning how to read the room. It means knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to simply be there. Remember, every generation is shaped by different struggles. Your children are not ignoring you. They're navigating a world that's more complex, faster-paced, and often more emotionally draining than you realize. Give them grace. Meet them with patience. And when they do open up, respond not with judgment, but with the calm assurance that you're on their side. The phrase emotional value may sound abstract, but it's real, and in families, it's everything. The more emotional value you offer, the more independence and respect you earn in return. And what about your grandchildren? They don't want lectures. They want laughter, attention, playfulness. You don't have to be cool or modern. You just have to be present. Show interest in their lives, ask questions, let them teach you something new. Even if it's just how to use a phone app or understand a meme, your willingness to engage in their world tells them, "You matter to me. I care enough to learn." That one gesture can bridge an entire generation. The older you get, the more you'll realize relationships are not about control, they're about contribution. When you shift your mindset from, "Why don't they call me more?" to "What can I bring to their lives?" everything changes. You reclaim your role not as a burden, but as a blessing. And that's the key to emotional longevity. Still, there's another layer to this story. Because communication, no matter how warm or open, needs a foundation to stand on. And one of the strongest foundations you'll ever have in life is the bond built over decades with a spouse or partner. Whether you're still with your lifelong companion or navigating the path of late-life love, long-term relationships bring with them a kind of emotional grounding that no conversation alone can replace. So next, let's talk about why those deep, lasting partnerships matter more than ever in the golden years and how they shape the way we give and receive love. 6. Long-term relationships matter. There's a quiet kind of beauty in a love that has lasted through seasons, sunlight, storms, and all the in-betweens. It's not always romantic in the way movies show it. In real life, it looks more like routine, taking out the trash without being asked, finishing each other's sentences, arguing about dinner but still setting the table for two. And in your later years, those small rituals, the invisible glue of long-term love, become everything. Take the story of Lon, a woman well into her 70s. She's up early every day, rides her electric scooter to drop off the grandkids, stops by the market, cooks for the whole family, cleans the house, and tends to her husband. Her days are full and often tiring, but when she speaks about them, there's no bitterness, only pride. She doesn't romanticize it, she owns it. My spouse enjoys life while I work hard, she says with a grin, not in resentment, but with a kind of fierce devotion. Because behind that comment is a shared history stretching back decades. That's what long-term relationships do. They stretch, they bend. Sometimes they break and get patched up again. But when they last, they offer a kind of comfort that no late-in-life companionship can fully replace. The emotional depth, the shared trials and victories, the countless, ordinary days lived together. That's what builds a bond so strong it becomes its own kind of home. It's tempting to assume that companionship later in life is enough. And for many, it is. There's absolutely nothing wrong with forming new relationships in your 60s or 70s. These connections can be warm, supportive, and healing, especially after the loss of a longtime partner. But let's be honest, they're often about stability, not legacy. You may laugh, enjoy meals together, even travel, but you may never share the same emotional shorthand that comes from raising children together, paying off a mortgage, or surviving illness side by side. Even among lifelong couples, not every day is a love story. But there's history, and that history holds weight. When your body begins to slow down, when roles shift and life becomes quieter, having someone who already knows you, your quirks, your fears, your story, can be more grounding than any medication or therapy. We don't talk enough about the emotional infrastructure of long relationships, the subtle ways they protect us from loneliness, from instability, from emotional collapse. They remind us that we're not just aging, we're aging with someone, that we're not invisible, that our past, our love, our life mattered and still matters. Of course, not everyone gets to grow old with their first love. Some lose their partners, some grow apart. But even then, those years spent building a life with someone aren't lost. They leave an imprint, a deep emotional memory that shapes how we carry ourselves in solitude or in new relationships. Some people choose never to remarry, not out of sadness, but out of respect for what they had. It was enough. It stays with them. And while there's no single right way to grow old, there is one common truth. Connection, especially deep, meaningful, enduring connection, is one of the most powerful protectors of health and happiness in our later years. It lowers stress, strengthens resilience, and gives us something to hold on to when everything else changes. So if you're still in a long-term relationship, nurture it. Let go of petty frustrations. Laugh at the habits you used to roll your eyes at. Choose softness. Forgive faster. Talk more. Age together, on purpose. And if you're not in a relationship, whether by choice or circumstance, don't discount the power of emotional legacy. What you shared, or what you're still capable of building, matters deeply. Love doesn't only live in the present, it lives in the impact it leaves behind. And here's where it all ties together. The ability to maintain, deepen, or even rediscover connection, whether with a partner or with yourself, requires something else just as vital: an open, curious mind, a willingness to keep learning. Because aging well isn't just about holding on to the past, it's about staying alive to what's next. So let's explore how lifelong learning can help us stay mentally sharp, emotionally engaged, and joyfully connected, starting right now in Section 7. 7. Lifelong learning. There's a quiet dignity in staying curious, even as the world speeds up around you. In a time where technology evolves faster than memory, and society often underestimates the elderly, continuing to learn is not just a skill, it's a form of resistance. A declaration that age does not define relevance. Many people think once you hit your 70s, life slows down. But the truth is, you can still be expanding your mind, sharpening your awareness, and adapting to a world that never stands still. That's the beauty of lifelong learning. It's not about mastering quantum physics or becoming a tech genius. It's about refusing to let your world shrink. It's about reading a new article every morning instead of recycling yesterday's fears. It's about asking your grandson how to use your smartphone, not to feel young, but to stay empowered. It's about logging into your bank account online, not just because it's convenient, but because it keeps you in control. Practical knowledge: how to use your phone to check weather updates, pay a bill, or even video call your grandkids. This isn't just about convenience. It's survival. It's independence. Too many elderly individuals find themselves lost in the simplest tasks: reading signs, navigating appointments, accessing public services, or using apps that the younger generation takes for granted. And because of that, they slowly fade into the background, not out of choice, but because no one told them it's okay to keep learning, that it's necessary, that it's powerful. You don't need to go back to school or enroll in night classes. All you need is the willingness to ask questions, to press a few unfamiliar buttons, to not be embarrassed by what you don't know. Growth doesn't stop when the hair turns gray. The brain is still plastic, still moldable, still hungry for stimulation. Studies show that older adults who remain mentally engaged have a significantly lower risk of developing cognitive decline and memory-related illnesses. Reading, watching documentaries, exploring new hobbies, even learning the basics of a new language can literally help build new neural pathways in your brain. And it's not just about memory, it's about confidence. About walking into a doctor's office and understanding what's being said. About not relying on others to explain your bills, or check your mail, or book your travel tickets. Lifelong learning protects your autonomy. And beyond the practical benefits, it also renews your sense of purpose. When you're learning something new, you're not just passing time. You're building momentum. You're stepping into each day with curiosity instead of fear. You're proving to yourself and to the world that you still matter. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about learning later in life is that it connects you. When you embrace the digital world, even in small ways, you're able to stay part of conversations that matter. You can join online forums, reconnect with old friends, share your wisdom through blogs, or simply read news that isn't filtered through someone else's opinion. You're no longer at the mercy of secondhand information. You become the narrator of your own life. And yes, learning requires humility. It means being willing to fail at something new, again and again. But isn't that how we grow? By getting it wrong until we get it right? By laughing at ourselves when we hit the wrong button, but also cheering when we finally figure it out? This mindset doesn't just preserve your independence, it keeps your spirit alive. Because staying curious means staying hopeful. And hope is what gives us the strength to keep going, no matter the number on our birth certificate. So if you've ever told yourself, "I'm too old to learn that," stop. You're not. You're never too old to grow, to ask questions, to try something new. In fact, now is the perfect time. Because the more you learn, the more you see just how much life still has to offer. You become more adaptable, more resilient, and more capable of engaging with a world that's changing every day. And when you're able to keep up, not just physically but mentally, you're not just existing. You're living, fully, authentically, fearlessly. And here's the best part. Learning opens the door to play. Because when your mind is sharp and your confidence is strong, you stop asking, "Can I do that?" and start saying, "Why not?" Whether it's learning how to garden, picking up a paintbrush, or trying a new card game, a lifelong learner naturally becomes a lifelong player. So in Section 8, let's explore how hobbies and playfulness aren't just for the young. They're actually the secret weapon to staying vibrant, joyful, and deeply alive, no matter your age. 8. Hobbies and playfulness. When we think about what truly keeps someone feeling young, vibrant, and full of life in their 70s or 90s, most people jump to the usual answers: diet, exercise, sleep. But there's something just as powerful, something often overlooked, and that's play. Yes, play. Staying playful, curious, and engaged through hobbies isn't just a luxury in old age. It's a necessity. Aging doesn't mean you stop enjoying life. In fact, it's the time to double down on what brings you joy. Too many people retire and quietly fade into the background of their own lives, filling their days with obligation instead of excitement. Some end up babysitting grandchildren full-time. Others become passive, spending hours in front of the TV, slowly losing interest in things they once loved. The spirit dims not because of age, but because of lack of stimulation, lack of fun. But here's the truth. Hobbies can be lifelines. You don't need to run marathons or dance in the park every morning to stay active. At this stage in life, the best kind of movement is the one that brings you joy and suits your energy. Maybe it's painting, gardening, playing chess, singing, fishing, or even writing. The point isn't what you do, it's that you do something that sparks your mind and lifts your heart. And don't let anyone tell you that being playful is childish. On the contrary, it takes wisdom to know that joy is worth prioritizing. A person with hobbies has something to wake up for, something to look forward to, something that keeps their inner fire alive. Studies have shown that seniors who engage regularly in hobbies are more likely to live longer, suffer fewer health complications, and report higher life satisfaction. This isn't coincidence. It's the result of staying mentally and emotionally engaged in something personally meaningful. Think of Newton, yes, that Newton, who found happiness in blowing soap bubbles just to watch the colors shift. Or economist Eugene Yuan, who proudly called himself a master of playing, diving into computer games and puzzles with childlike excitement. These aren't just anecdotes. They're proof that curiosity doesn't expire. So why do so many older adults stop playing? Often, it's internalized pressure. Some believe that aging means becoming more serious, more reserved, more detached from fun. But that mindset is a trap. The older you get, the more you should let go. If there were things you were afraid to try when you were younger, try them now. You've earned that freedom. Even better, hobbies aren't just for you. They create connection. Whether it's a card game with friends, a gardening club, or just sharing your sketches with your grandkids, hobbies build bridges between generations and nurture the relationships that matter most. And let's not forget the health impact. Staying playful boosts lung capacity, enhances blood circulation, sharpens memory, and wards off anxiety and depression. Group activities especially can battle loneliness, a silent epidemic among seniors. When you're laughing, focused, and present in something you love, your body and brain feel that. And they respond by keeping you stronger, sharper, and more alive. So maybe the question isn't, how do I stay young? Maybe it's, what can I do today that makes me feel alive? If you've been missing that sense of joy, now's the time to bring it back. Start small. Pick up an old hobby. Try a new one. Don't aim for perfection, aim for pleasure. And if this message resonates with you, here's how you can help spread it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need a nudge to pick up their paintbrush, chessboard, or fishing rod again. Most importantly, drop a comment below. What hobby keeps you going? What's something fun you've always wanted to try but never did? Your story might be the very thing that inspires someone else to reclaim their spark. Because in the end, hobbies aren't just about filling time, they're about feeling time, about living it, about proving, once and for all, that joy doesn't belong to the young, it belongs to the curious. So stay curious, stay playful, stay alive. Now, let's move to one final piece of the puzzle, one that ties all of this together, your mindset and emotional resilience. Because all the hobbies in the world won't matter if your heart stays closed. Let's talk about the power of keeping a broad heart in the face of aging. So here we are. After all the stories, insights, and reflections, let's take a moment, just breathe, and ask ourselves one simple question. What does it truly mean to live well in your later years? It's not about how much money you have in the bank, how wrinkle-free your face is, or how many vitamins line your kitchen counter. It's about how deeply and consciously you show up for your own life every day. It's about independence, not just physical, but emotional, mental, and financial. It's about having clarity in your mind, steadiness in your body, and peace in your heart. And here's the truth we've uncovered together in this video. Aging doesn't mean fading. Aging, when lived with intention, can be one of the richest, most fulfilling chapters of your life. If you've made it this far, chances are you already feel it. You know that there's something more meaningful at play than simply getting older. You've probably seen it in someone close to you. The grandparent who still walks a mile each morning, the elderly neighbor who smiles as she waters her garden, the couple in their late 70s still finishing each other's sentences. That's not luck. That's a result of choices, everyday choices. We've learned that maintaining physical health is foundational. When your body is mobile and strong, you're free. Free to live on your terms, without relying on others. But just as important is your mindset, your mood, your perspective. A joyful, curious heart often heals faster than any medicine. Choosing calm over anger, contentment over comparison, positivity over pessimism, these are emotional muscles worth strengthening. Your mental sharpness is a defense against confusion, exploitation, and helplessness. Staying informed, alert, and engaged keeps you not just safe, but empowered. We also explored the value of financial independence, not just as a way to survive, but as a gateway to dignity. Money managed wisely buys you freedom, not luxury. It lets you say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. We talked about the importance of healthy communication with family, the power of emotional generosity, of offering warmth instead of complaints. And we reflected on the irreplaceable strength of long-term relationships, how years of shared experiences can create a bond no amount of convenience or newness can replicate. And then came two often underestimated but deeply important things: lifelong learning and hobbies. Staying curious keeps the brain sharp. Staying playful keeps the soul light. These aren't just extras, they're part of the core. The seniors who thrive don't just survive their days, they create them, fill them, savor them. But here's the thing. All of this, every section we've covered, comes down to one word: ownership. Owning your time, your habits, your mindset, your health. Not waiting for someone else to fix it for you. Not putting your joy or purpose in anyone else's hands. So what do we do with all of this wisdom? We apply it. Not tomorrow. Today. If you're watching this and you're over 60, over 70, or even in your 90s, start small. You don't have to overhaul your entire life. Just pick one area we talked about today. Maybe it's taking a 15-minute walk in the morning. Maybe it's journaling instead of stewing in frustration. Maybe it's calling your son or daughter and just listening without offering advice. Or maybe it's learning how to pay a bill online, or picking up an old hobby again. If you're younger, think of this as your preview. You're building your 70s and 90s right now. Every choice you make today is shaping the version of you that will live decades from now. The earlier you start cultivating health, independence, emotional intelligence, and curiosity, the richer your later years will be. Let this video be your turning point. Not just a story to nod along to, but a mirror. A moment to ask yourself, am I living in a way today that supports the kind of old age I want tomorrow? And if you're feeling inspired, don't let that spark fade. Like this video, share it with someone you care about. If it made you think, reflect, or shift your perspective even a little, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so we can continue this journey together. And I want to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway? Drop it in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Because here's what we've discovered together. The secret to a joyful, fulfilling, independent old age isn't a secret at all. It's built day by day, moment by moment, choice by choice. You don't have to wait until everything's perfect. You just have to start now with what you have, right where you are. So let's age well. Let's age proud. And most importantly, let's age alive. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of your body, your mind, and your heart. They're the only homes you'll ever really live in.